a statement from one of the great scholars of the 4th century. He's called Ibn Battah al-Uqbari, rahimahullah, and he has an excellent book called Al-Ibanah an Shari'at al-Firqatin Najiyah. This is a book, Al-Ibanah, and it's 7-8 volumes. And in this book he has compiled all of the narrations and the statements of the scholars who came before him, who took from those scholars who came before them, who took from those who came before them, till we go to the time of the Tabi'een, then to the Sahaba. And so he compiled all of these narrations. And in this compilation, he deals with different aspects of belief, from belief in Allah's names and His attributes, and belief in Al-Iman, and belief in Al-Qadr, and other issues. And so what we want to do is, he has an excellent short paragraph which summarizes the essential points of our belief in Al-Qadr. So if we believe what is stated here, then the whole issue of, as we said, Al-Qadr, and what is justice, and what is wisdom, and all these issues, inshallah, then it should keep us firm, inshallah ta'ala. So he says, I will give you the English translation, but this is in the first volume of his book, Al-Ibanah an Shari'at al-Firqatin Najiyah. It is in the second book on Al-Qadr, the first volume of that book, page 264, and this is a 1415 print. So he says, as for what is obligatory upon us, as for that which is wajib upon all of us to have knowledge of this issue regarding Al-Qadr, and to make tasdeeq of it, meaning to believe in it, and to affirm all of it, to make iqrar, to corroborate and accept all of it, then it is the following. So we have the following points. Number 1, that we know that good and evil are from Allah. Al-Khair wa Shar, that they are created by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you remember, just to comment upon this, if you remember in the last lesson, we made a distinction between Allah's action, Allah's fi'l, and that which, and the maf'ulat, the things which take place. We said that as it relates to us, from our point of view, we see that there is evil in the creation. Shar, there is evil in the creation. Okay? But as it relates to the action of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there is no evil in any of the actions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So for example, when we see a disease, when we see a natural disaster, or when we see evil people who, for example, commit oppression and tyranny and so on and so forth, all of this to us is evil. This is shar, this is evil, no doubt, from our point of view. But from the point of view of Allah's action in creating these people and allowing this evil to be found, from the point of view of Allah's action, we say that it is nothing but wisdom, hikmah, wisdom, and it is nothing but, as we said, hikmah. This is because in Allah's action there is a far-reaching wisdom, a hikmah, and a purpose and an objective behind all of that. So Iblis, he is evil. But in the creation of Iblis, in Allah's action of creating Iblis, there is hikmah, there is wisdom. It is to test and to put to trial. And in the creation of Iblis, there are other objectives that follow, and goals and end results that follow. So when it comes to Allah's actions, all of Allah's actions, there is perfect wisdom, justice, goodness, and benefit. But from our point of view, obviously then evil is only from our point of view. So we gave an example in the last lesson where we said one person, he murders another person. Right? To us, this is evil. It is evil. Now from Allah's point of view, things go beyond that. There is wisdom, there is the idea of justice, there are many things that follow on from that which is outside the issue here. But the point that we should understand, that good and evil are from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we cannot ascribe evil to the actions of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There is no action of Allah which is evil. Evil only exists in the creation. Only in the creation. Then he says that obedience and disobedience are from the qada of Allah and from His qadar. Every act of obedience, every act of disobedience is decreed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does this mean, decreed? Upon the 4 levels. Allah knew it, Allah wrote it, Allah willed it, Allah brought it into existence. This is what we mean. Whenever we speak about something is by the qada of Allah and His qadr, this is what we mean. We go back to the 4 levels of al-qadr. So that obedience, every action of obedience, every action of disobedience, it is from the qada of Allah and His qadr. The third point, he says that whatever befalls us was never going to pass us by, was never going to miss us. And whatever has passed us by, whatever has missed us, was never going to befall us. This is a third thing. Anything that happens to us, it was going to happen. We could never escape it. Anything that missed us, it was never going to come to us. We would never have reached it. Right? This is the third point that he mentions. Then after this he says that Allah created paradise. So remember, this is part and parcel of our belief in Al-Qadr. Because paradise is the servant's actions, and paradise and hellfire, all of it is connected. So he says that Allah created paradise and He created inhabitants for it. He created people for paradise. And He knew those inhabitants. He knew who those would be. He knew them who they would be, with their names and the names of their fathers, before He even created them, before He even created paradise. He created paradise, and prior to that He knew, He also had people who He was going to create for paradise, and He knew their names, and He knew the names of their forefathers, of their fathers. Then He gave them tawfiq. He gave them success in performing the righteous actions that He is pleased with. So He commanded them, these are still His words, He commanded them to do the righteous deeds. Then He gave them tawfiq, He gave them success in doing those righteous deeds. Then He aided them, He gave them support. And then He acknowledged that they have now performed these deeds. Then He rewarded them, or He will reward them with paradise for performing these deeds as a bounty, as a ni'mah and rahmah from Him to them. All of this, pay attention to all of this, because this is opposed to the beliefs of those who deviated in the issue of Al-Qadr, because they couldn't understand certain things. They couldn't understand this. They couldn't fathom this in their mind. And so they couldn't understand Allah's hikmah, Allah's wisdom, Allah's justice. And so they went astray. So I'm going to read this again. Allah created Jannah, Allah created paradise. And He created people for that paradise. He knew those people. He knew their names. He knew the names of their fathers. So then He commanded them, do such and such, do righteous deeds. Then He gave them success. He gave them tawfiq to do those righteous deeds. So they did those righteous deeds. So then Allah accepted that from them. He acknowledged it from them. And then He was pleased with them. So then He rewarded them with paradise out of what? Rahmah and ni'mah. Pay attention to these words. It is a rahmah and a ni'mah from Allah that He entered you into paradise. There's nothing to do with your deeds. Your deeds are a sabab. They are a means by which you entered paradise. Allah is the one who created those ways and means for you. He revealed the Sharia. He sent prophets. He sent messengers. He ordered you with goodness. He gave you those ways and means which are the Sharia ways and means by which you enter paradise. So just like we say, Allah created the worldly ways and means. You want to remove your thirst? Drink some water. Okay, these are from the worldly ways and means. Allah has created, there are millions and millions of ways and means that those which we know, those which we don't even know, which are hidden from us. So they are the created asbab by which the creation runs and operates. Okay, and then there are Sharia ways and means. There are the ways and means of Sharia, meaning that if you want to enter paradise, establish 5 prayers, worship Allah alone, be righteous to your parents, okay, and all of the actions of obedience, and keeping away from all of the actions of disobedience. So Allah revealed these created ways and means. He's the one who revealed his created ways and means. Then He gave you success in following those ways and means. Then He entered you into paradise. So all of this is a ni'mah and a rahmah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we have to, these words, these are very specific words. Don't just treat this as just words. All these words are being used for a very specific purpose, because they refute the deviation and the misconceptions of those who went astray in this topic. Okay? So this is what we believe. Then, after this, he says that Allah created Hellfire. He created Jahannam. And He created people for Jahannam. He created people for Jahannam. He knew their exact number. He knew their exact number. And He knew that which they would do, that which would occur from them. And He decreed upon them what He disliked for it to occur. So again, whenever we say that He decreed for them or decreed upon them, it means the 4 levels of Al-Qadr. He knew it, He wrote it, He willed it, and He brought it into existence. So he decreed for these people things which He Himself would dislike from them. In other words, He decreed for them kufr and shirk and disobedience and so on and so forth. He decreed these affairs upon them even though He dislikes them. He decreed this upon them. And He deserted them, meaning that He didn't protect them from falling into these matters which He dislikes. So then these people, they fell into that which Allah dislikes. And then He punished them for what they fell into. And He is not unjust in any of that. Pay attention to this again. There is no injustice in any of that. No injustice whatsoever. I'm going to read that again. That He created Hellfire and He created inhabitants for Hellfire. He created them. He knew the exact number. He knew what would occur from them. And then He decreed upon them that they would do that which He dislikes. Then, when He created them, He deserted them and abandoned them. He didn't protect them from doing that which He dislikes. And then, they fell into that which Allah dislikes. And so then Allah punished them due to these actions they performed. And in all of this, there is no injustice from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala whatsoever. No injustice can be ascribed to Allah whatsoever for all of that, for any of that. And then He said that these people are not excused. There is no excuse for these people for whatever judgment Allah has made upon them. They are not excused at all. There is no excuse. So then He says, so all of this and whatever is like it from the knowledge of Al-Qadr, that which is binding upon the creation to have knowledge of. This is what is obligatory upon us, to have knowledge of these affairs, to have faith in it, and to submit to it, submit to the command of Allah, to the judgment, the hukm of Allah, and to His qada, and to His qadr. So we see here that Ibn Battah has essentially summarized the belief of Ahlul Sunnati wal Jama'ah, and you can see from reflecting upon these statements of Ibn Battah that there are some issues that may come to the mind of a person. The idea of justice, al-adl. Where is the idea of justice in this? A person might become confused. And a person might say, well, where is the idea of qudra? The power, the ability, who does it lie with? Does it lie with Allah alone? Does it lie with us only? And so, by not sticking to what has been said in this that we just summarized, a person is likely to make mistakes and fall into problems and mistakes. So what we want to do now, inshallah ta'ala,